Things I've learned about God since becoming a mom. We don't trust God to have our best interests at heart. So one day I was taking my daughter to McDonald's, but she didn't know. So as she came out of the room, it was kind of time for her supper, and she knew that because she had had her shower and everything. And so I hadn't told her yet because I have the tendency to tell her things only as we're about to do them, just because she'll constantly ask, but when, but when, but when, but when, but when. She's very impatient. She doesn't have a concept of time, and my time and her time is not the same time. When I tell her 5 minutes, she doesn't know how long that is. So you know, to avoid having to deal with that whole but when, but when, but when, and having her think that I'm not going to do it anymore just because it's taking longer than she expected, because she doesn't know how long it was going to take in the first place. I spare myself that drama by just telling her things, giving her the plan or the blueprint just as it's about to happen. So in this case, again, I didn't tell her we're going to McDonald's. So she's just kind of waiting there, and she comes out of the room and she's like, Mom, I'm hungry. Can I have bread and cheese? So my first response is no, because we're not going to have bread and cheese. Go and get dressed. We're going to McDonald's. That's what I was going to say. But as I say no, rather than asking me, okay, what can I eat? She starts to scream. She starts to throw a whole tantrum. She starts to say, but I love bread and cheese, because that's her favorite sandwich. Bread and cheese, ride or die. And she's like, I need my bread and cheese. I want to eat bread and cheese. I don't want to eat something else. I want to have bread and cheese. I don't want to have something else. I want to have it. And while she's going and going, I'm standing there looking at her, thinking to myself, you little, you don't even know that you're actually being, like, you're about to get yourself in a situation where if I did exactly what you were asking me, which is give me bread and cheese, you would miss out on getting McDonald's. Stay with me. You would miss out on getting McDonald's just because when I said no, you didn't give me the opportunity to tell you what the next plan was. You had a plan. You thought that the ultimate thing you could have was bread and cheese, because that's one of your favorite things to eat, and that is something that you would get regularly as a special. So you come with your request as high as your thoughts can go right now, and you come up with a thing that you think is the most special in this moment. And so you request bread and cheese. But as your request is denied, you don't even give me the opportunity to tell you why and what's next, and that I have something better that will make you even more excited, because not only are you getting fries, you're getting it from McDonald's, you're getting to play, we're going out, get dressed. It's a whole different ball game than just bread and cheese at home and then going to bed. But you didn't give me the chance. And as I'm standing there looking at her, I'm wondering to myself, should I even still bring her? Let me just give her the bread and cheese, and then she can stop whining and go to sleep, because this child just doesn't. And I'm like, no. So after she was done wasting time with a tantrum while she could have been getting dressed for us to leave, she just wasted a whole time that she could have been spending at McDonald's. I now have to explain to her after she's calmed down, listen, you're not getting bread and cheese because we're going to McDonald's. At that point, I was so over taking her to McDonald's, okay? And I feel like sometimes God watches our little tantrums and he's like, should I even continue? I had great plans for you. I had a lot of plans for you. Why are you throwing a tantrum for a little bread and cheese? And so she was so stunned. She was silent. She was watching me in awe, and she ran to get dressed. And I'm like, it shouldn't be this way. You should trust me enough to know that if I wasn't giving you the bread and cheese and you were not going to McDonald's, that I had a reason for not giving you bread and cheese, because I always want the best for you. I always want the best for you and my daughter. I always want the best for you. And so if I wasn't giving you bread and cheese, it's because either it wasn't available, or you didn't need that right now, or I had something better in mind. Either way, I have your best interest at heart in all times, in every situation. And so I watched her do that, and I thought of us, and I thought of myself, and I thought about the fact that sometimes when we ask God something, we don't believe that he has our best interest at heart. We don't believe that if we don't get the bread and cheese, that there's actually a McDonald's waiting. We think that if we don't get this one thing right now, our life has ended. He doesn't love us. He's not giving us what we need. We're just asking for something simple. We've been specific in our prayer. Why is he delaying it? And the thing about it is, had I even waited to give her the full blueprint, about what was happening, and had I just said, okay, no bread and cheese, get dressed, we're going somewhere, she could have been even more frustrated for a long period of time because I was trying to maybe surprise her and let her see that we're going somewhere special. But in her head, she might have been thinking, well, I'm not getting anything. And we do that sometimes. God is waiting for us to just trust him and go with the flow and go with his flow, not our own flow. But we don't trust him enough, and so we're just always so anxious and so stuck, and we're always thinking that he's not doing what he's supposed to do, or he's not doing what he said he was going to do, or what we asked, or what we prayed about. And so we always kind of find ourselves in a situation where you're just kind of stuck. And the thing about it is, it's not a God problem, it's a you problem, it's a us problem. Okay, we have to learn to trust that God has our best interest at heart, and by doing this, we will cause ourselves so much more peace, and we will kind of avoid the whole drama and shenanigans and the anxiety that comes with not trusting God and doubting that he's doing the best thing possible for us. And so I learned that again in this situation, and I knew that this is something that I have to work on if I want to have a smoother ride in this life, because always throwing tantrums for little bread and cheese, even risking that God might think, you know what, just take the bread and cheese. You don't even deserve to have more. You're ungrateful. Risking all that he has in store for me just by being ungrateful and not trusting his heart. Like the songwriter said, all things work for our good, though sometimes we don't see how they could. Struggles that break our hearts in two sometimes blind us to the truth. Our Father knows what's best for us, and his ways are not our own. So when your pathway grows dim and you just don't see it, remember you're never alone. God is too wise to be mistaken. God is too good to be unkind. So when you don't understand, when you don't see his plan, when you can't trace his hand, trust his heart. Trust him.